That's good. That's quite a setup.
Yeah. So, Dennis.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Uh-huh.
You are also still alive.
Well,
Good to know.
Yep, breathing fine. So far, so good. Spain is in just awful shape.
Spain is in awful shape.
I'm reading.
Yes.
Reading in the news. They undoubtedly are filling cooler trailers with bodies as they are in other places. It's the most ravishing thing in our lifetime. It redefines everything before this point and now after this point. It's one of those.
Yes, I agree.
But yes, we're fine. We're fine and cheerful, as you can see. Just
well, that's to be expected. I mean,
but
what's the name of the hour?
There's one thing. There's one thing that I know no matter what. It happens every Monday at 5:30, and it is
Happy Hour. Bum bum bum.
Ba-da-da-da.
Yeah, baby.
Ba-da-da-da.
Well, we over here in Spainland are we're back to being 6 hours difference from you. There were like 3 weeks there where we were 5 hours difference, and now we went to daylight savings time. And,
So it's 10:30 at night there.
No, it's 11:30 at night.
11:30 at night. Wow.
Yes,
So you are really at the happy hour.
I'm at the pinnacle of the happy.
Pinnacle.
Yes.
And is this a typical night for you that you work this late or no?
I often stay up to midnight, and now that the fucking schools are closed, where there is no alarm clock anymore in the mornings, I've been letting the kids, like I just put the kids to bed at 11, and they get up at 9 or 10 in the morning, and
might as well.
Right, exactly. And
might as well.
I print. I have a secret source of math worksheets that I can download a PDF every day and print one out, and give them some busy work to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's.
Your mom's going to work every day at the factory.
Yes, it's five. It's half of the days. So rather than like. It's 3 days, one week, and 2 days another week, or something like that.
How many hours per day?
8 plus
8,
an hour of commute. So,
yeah.
But it's been, like time has just ceased to have meaning, man.
Yeah. Well, so I do a lot of work out of my house anyway, so this isn't anything different. And because I'm working on some major projects, I'm working 5 to 6 hours a day, which is sanity for me, and then walking after that, and really just having a regular work day as I have for years when I'm not on the road. Of course, I'm not going to be going on the road anytime soon, so I did file under the emergency bill here, for unemployment. Private contractors apparently have found a way into that bill, so we'll see. But things are tight. So it's a $6 trillion bailout, and it's likely to balloon to twice that. The unemployment here is going to be 1 out of every 3 people, 32+%. It's unheard of.
Numbers we haven't really put into a calculator before. Yeah.
And the thing is that I have to laugh at it because Trump is such a buffoon that as my wife and I sitting through it are screaming at him and storming out of the room because we can't believe the stuff he thinks is important to say and how frequently he lies and this and that.
No, I can't.
But then when I look back at it later, I have to laugh really to keep my sanity because he is such a lunatic. He is a buffoon. He is a caricature of himself, and his self is a caricature of what the fuck knows what. A cross between a fucking monkey and a dollar bill?
Well, what's a cross between a monkey and a dollar bill is the Monopoly guy with the top hat and the money coming out of his pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Mr. Smith.
Sure, we'll call him that.
Hey.
He went to Washington.
Change the subject. So the reason is that I'm, the comedian, it's a BJ Smoove, who's on, right? He he is interviewed on that, what is it, Sirius Radio? Whatever. Sirius Radio, and interviewed by that famous jock. I'm drawing blanks here.
God damn it.
So anyway, this is what the interview's about. Stuff he pitched to Saturday Night Live that never got picked, even though when he got up to pitch it, which he pitched it like it was a comedy routine, he had everybody in the room absolutely rolling on the floor, but they would never do his stuff. And you can hear why. And it is one of the most hilarious things I've seen all week. So, and he's so funny. And one more thing, he has a tape. I think I sent it to you maybe. It's him doing a meditation. And he's doing a meditation, the stuff that he's doing. And is it JB Smoove?
JB Smoove, yeah.
Yeah.
He's from North Carolina, actually.
Oh, he is funny. And when you're watching the show, when he gets into his riffs, you know he's making it up.
Right.
It's because Larry David is doing everything he can to keep a straight face. Oh, he's got me in stitches. It's so good to laugh out loud. I mean, it doesn't last very long. Then you wake up to the reality of COVID-19. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm very envious of my American friends that are allowed to go for walks. I have been at home for a fortnight, just locked in my house. I've been doing shopping. I used to go shopping every day. I would not plan that far ahead, and I would just plan a day's worth of what's for lunch and what's for dinner, and I'd go buy it and cook it and whatever. But now we're trying to go 4 days in a row without leaving the house. And this past time, because the way that I think I mentioned this last time, the way my local supermarket is set up is rather than letting you go in, now they just have these tables set up like you're registering at some event to get your ID card or whatever, and they say, all right, tell us what you want, and we'll go back into the store and get it and fill up a little basket, and then you can check out and take it. Because I'm friends with the folks at the shop, I can communicate with them via text, and so I sent one of them. I said, hey, if I sent you a list, could you prepare it all and have it there ready for me, so I don't have to be there standing there and telling you, and now do this and now do that, while I'm there potentially contaminating and being contaminated by
get ahead of it and save everybody time.
So I went and I made a list, and because I'm familiar with the store, I can put it in order of how you have to go around the store to get all the items.
Oh, no kidding.
And
well, that's pretty good to you. That's
and
good for you.
And so
Erik, I don't know a lot of people who would even think of that, let alone do that.
Well, let's put a pin in that. I want to go back to that.
It's efficient.
But and so the first time I did that, I was also ordering like a box of 15 liters of wine, because fuck, here we are locked up.
Wine.
And so I sent him all this, and he said, all right, I'm gonna bring this to you, because it would take you 2 or 3 loads to carry all of this. I've got a cart. I'm gonna bring it to you. It's just around the block. It's maybe 200 yards to the shop. And so he said you come down in the elevator, and I'll load all this into the elevator. And I went downstairs, and he put everything in the elevator, and he had one of those little wireless payments card doofers, and I was able to pay with with contactless payment, and it was really nice. And then I got upstairs, and I had these boxes full of my groceries. It was just and this is because I go there every single day. Like I'm a VIP customer. They appreciate my loyalty.
Sure.
And my attention to detail of putting everything in the right order. But but there's I wanted to go back to that. There are on the for mobile phones on the app stores, there's 25,000 shopping list apps, right? That's the easiest fucking thing to write. You make a list of stuff and then put a checkbox next to it, and you check it off and whatever. And I've never, because my shopping needs have never been as that complicated, I've never really needed to use one. But I remember installing one time where the app was clever enough to learn your path through the store.
Oh, no kidding.
And in the order that you normally checked off things, like if you always checked off oranges before you checked off chicken, then it would then, when you got to the store, it would sort the stuff in the way that it knew that you normally check stuff off, which is just a clever idea.
That is great.
That
is great.
Thinking about the user, making that extra bit of difference that makes people want to use your app.
Right.
And I would mention the name of the app if I could remember it, and they would sponsor the show. But neither is true. Right. So fuck those guys.
Well, and people are creative. I mean, my nephew was a bartender in D.C. and now he's delivering beer for a living, and and that's what's happened here. I mean, one of the more stunning aspects of the delivery service here, which is similar with different stores and different age groups. Like my age group, you get more services for home delivery than people that are younger. But one of the delivery services is you go online and you order whatever marijuana you want, and they will drop it off at your house.
There you go.
In quantities not to exceed 2.5 ounces. That's a lot of pot.
Well, it's weed to curb service or something.
It's exactly what it is. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Sort of garden to curb, but yeah.
No, the way they call it seed. Well, for those people that don't actually have it delivered, it's called seed to store. Is the tracing for all goods really, but also for the marijuana.
Well, it's interesting that it's an essential service for medical marijuana users.
Right, yeah.
And so, but so are liquor stores and beer stores.
For medical liquor users.
Well, they all happen, for the most part. I've never been in one that doesn't sell some food, even if it's small bags of potato chips and and big strings of smoked salami, jerky.
Step into a Slim Jim.
Slim Jim, that's right.
Slim Jim Beam.
They started making them longer and longer. I thought they made a Slim Jim once was like 4 foot fucking long. Come in handy. They make a 6 foot one. And then you could use it to keep people away from you. The more you ate, of course, the closer they'd get. But I don't know. You'd have to compensate for that. It would have to be stiffer than the regular jerky, because if it's not stiff,
stiffer than the regular jerky.
It isn't.
Yes.
I hesitate to call it a jerky in your case, given that you're locked down for so many days on end.
Swinging that jerky, keeping your distance.
Oh! So in the latest, never mind. I don't want to go there. So what the fuck? It's crazy, man. Just crazy.
I may have allegedly committed a crime today. When I sent my order off to the store, I had to actually go pick it up because it was enough that I could more or less carry, just barely. And so the store is a block away, right? And I went out to the store and I walked by the store and I kept walking around the block. And then I did it again and again and again. 5 times I walked around the block. It was glorious to walk.
That's 5 offenses. They could boxcar you.
Allegedly.
And you just admitted it on the live recording. It's not alleged anymore. It's what it's called now? A confession. Okay, you'd have to prove this isn't you, and plus they'd have to believe you over me, because I will tell them it's you, because I don't want anybody else getting in trouble. But if they boxcar you, it's probably a fine.
What does boxcar mean?
One after the other. There's consecutive sentences. So if they say, well, you did the same thing 5 times, we'll give you 5 years for each time, but they can run consecutive.
Right.
So you're doing 5 times 5. Boxcar would be you're doing 5, then 5, then 5, then 5, because it's 5 times 5. So you'd be in for 25 years. That's boxcars. So by the time you got out, you'd be in your 60s, and I'd be fucking dead.
Maybe the quarantine would be over.
Yeah, well, with whatever's left, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. So now that I think about it, I think I might have dreamt that.
No, and now that sounds like an excuse, since we've talked about the legality of it, and in fact it is. And there isn't anybody with a lick of sense, which doesn't include you, that would think otherwise.
Well, actually, I did tweet this past week about a dream that I had that involved going for a walk.
No, you didn't.
No, I actually did. Like, this is legit. It's on the internet. It really is.
Well, that's in your favor.
Yeah. So, and it actually is true that I dreamt about going for a walk.
Or was it a premonition?
I don't know, man.
Think about it. What happened after you had this dream?
I woke up.
And walked how many times around the block?
I think it was just part of the dream. Wait, am I awake now?
No. See, that's the thing about it. You're not awake now. And everything you think is a lie.
It's true.
Including this. Including that.
Yeah?
Yes. So where do you stand?
I'm not standing. I'm floating.
Look at that shit.
Don't show me your finger.
Watch this.
Okay. The audio for that is just classic.
It probably is.
Hey.
People can imagine it.
Hey, you, watch this. All right, Dennis.
I can picture his finger. As soon as he did it, I could picture it. I've got a trigger finger. A lot of people do.
So, no, but I had this dream where I was out for a walk because I've been just incarcerated. That's a strong word. I've been on house arrest for so many days, and it was just beautiful. I was walking down the street, and the sun was on my skin and the wind, and it was just beautiful, and I was just happy. But then I noticed that there were some white vans pulling up to some of the houses in my town, and people in full bodysuits were coming out of the vans, and they had assault rifles, and they were going into houses and pulling out the infected people.
This was your dream?
This was my dream. And they were loading they were loading people into these vans to be taken away to some quarantine facility.
Oh my God.
But I was just like, do. I'm loving my walk. And then when I almost got all the way home, I was almost all the way home, right? And this police car pulls up beside me. And I'm like, shit, I know that I'm not allowed to be out walking without a real reason. I'm busted. And I thought maybe I can run, maybe I can, make it all the way home. But the cop pulled up and said, hey, you stop. And before I could do anything, he was out of the car and he had a gun pointed at me. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, so I just, in those situations, you're just like, well, I guess whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen to me. And, but then the cop's car, this is straight out of like a police academy movie. The cop had not put his parking brake on, and his car started to roll down the hill. And so he ran after the car, and I realized, oh shit, this is my chance. And so I dashed around a corner and took the back alleys back home, and I made it back home safely. And I was just like, whew, that was a harrowing walk.
And you woke up and remembered it all.
I woke up and I remembered it all, and I wrote it down, and I recorded it. And oh
my God, that is so.
But that's like where my head is at now. Is if I leave the house, I will be put in jail, and also people are dying everywhere, and holy shit. And like already at my local hospital here in my little fishing village in Spain, they are asking anyone that has any scuba masks to donate them. And the way you donate them is you call a number, and a police officer will come to your house and pick it up to take it to the hospital to be converted into a respirator, because that's where we are. People are dying. There's probably people in the ICU of your local hospital right now. For sure, anyone listening to this a week from now, that's going to be true, because it's fucking scary.
So sorry for people.
Yep, and it's one of these things where, like, we all need to band together and do the right thing. And luckily for most of us, the right thing to do is to do nothing. Like,
hunker down.
Stay the fuck at home and talk to as few people as possible. Don't go over and see your friend. Don't go out and do anything. It's the minimum distance. And I have to imagine that soon, in the U.S., they're going to stop letting you go out for walks, because it's just, if anybody loves having a empowered police force, it's America.
Yeah, well,
so
it's hit New York City so terrible, and it's doubling every 2 days, and they're afraid the peak won't hit for another 14 to 21 days, and they're already just so overwhelmed, and it's so frightening. And the dreams I've had are strange. I don't understand them, and maybe you can put it together for me. I don't dream like it's a fucking B-grade movie, like you do. I mean, you had a plot, it had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an ending, it had a happy ending. You could run. In my dreams, if there's a reason that I have to run, I can't run. I can't move. I'm like in tar. And so my latest dream is not so much about that, but I'm in a train station or an airport, and I've got my stuff, and I've missed my plane, and I have another plane, and they gather my stuff, and there's a lot of stuff, and they get on a cart, and I go, and it's the wrong plane, and then they have to go out, and I'm going to be late, and then I look, and the luggage there's more luggage, and then I start to unload it, and every time I unload it, it just fills up again, and it's just all this luggage, and it's everything I own. It's like stuff from home. It's boxes of stuff. It's just, and it just goes on that way, and I wake up just wretched. There's no cop car going back. It's like, what is it? And another one where I'm in a closet, and there's clothes hanging in front of me, and it's I could recognize it as I say it. It's my closet actually, and every time I go to take something off the shelf that I have with the clothes stacked on the side of me, I take it down, but every time I look up, there's more there. And there's more, and I'm getting late, and I'm going to miss my plane, and I'm trying to pack, and I wake up wretched. And I had it probably 5 nights in a row, and then started doing some things with my head before I went to sleep, and then decided that the dreams I was having after I woke up, perhaps go to the bathroom, whatever, they were after that. So now what I do is I just wake up a bit, and I read a little bit. And I fall more deeply to sleep, and I haven't had it. But I had like 5 days straight. I mean, I'm talking to my wife about it, and she's looking at me like, "Oh, wow, I don't know."
Closet nightmares.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, let's not call them that. But yeah, strange, and just and of course, a lot of times these kind of dreams, it's like, well, it's obvious. I mean, it's like if you're having a dream that you got a soft tire in your car, go look at your tire. Maybe that's what your perception was, and you didn't notice it while you were awake.
Well, I mean, you clearly have too much shit in your closet.
I do have a lot of stuff in my closet, and I think about it now, what's in there, because when I moved into my office, and the whole house is full of shit like this.
You would think that moving house would allow some period of cleansing.
Oh, it is, in fact, and that's what I've done. But so what I did was I took the stuff that I wanted and put up in my much, much smaller office. And then I've got 4 to 6 boxes of stuff that there's just no place to put it here. But I haven't gone through it, decided what to do with it yet.
Right.
And I'm also not, I haven't finished my basement yet. So when I'm in my work area, I usually put, crazy shit all over my work area, 2-headed calves, things of that nature, stuff everybody tries to collect.
Yes. There's dismembered baby dolls. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Baby dolls hanging by the wrist with no head on them. Yeah, that's nice. My grandchildren love that. I do have 2 dancing Mexicans down there.
You've mentioned them, yes.
Yes.
Pedro and Cecilia, or whatever their names are.
Chico and Jojo.
Chico and Jojo, yes.
And we do a little dance down there. That's fun. And they got mustaches painted on them, like the old Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
Where he didn't have a mustache. They just took a big wide swab of black paint and slapped it on his mustache. God, he was funny.
Yeah. So here we are in lockdown. I heard a great Spanish. I heard a great dad joke recently. So this past weekend we switched time zones. We switched time zones. We switched to daylight savings time.
Okay.
And there was this joke going around that, hey everybody, the government has lifted the quarantine. If you're for 1 hour, you can go out at 2 a.m., but you have to be back at home by 3 a.m. Which, of course, in spring,
it's the exact time.
It's the exact time.
But it changes. Right?
Yes, which is
an interesting hour. So I'm reading a novel. I'll get the name of it sometime soon. But it's a history of a family of witches that goes back to 1826 in gypsies from the Romani family, and it's interesting. I love this stuff. Oh, speaking of which, your recent communication to me relative to the final episode of The Outsider, wherein you stated, and I think it's pretty close to a quote here, is that you hope the season ends because there's only so much that I'm going to settle for or believe in on this. What did you call it? But I think you call it something shit. You call it like the spiritual shit. That's right. Supernatural. Yes. There's so much I don't know about the supernatural shit. Is that true? Something like that?
That is a poor representation of my idea, but I will elaborate now that we've put us onto this topic, which I was hoping that we would discuss. I have a low threshold for supernatural storytelling where random shit just happens and there's no real explanation.
Right. And so we talked about this before, and people can find this about episode 49 at
happyhour.fm. It's probably not that episode, but one of our episodes. Just you have to go back through them all. So
how many would that be?
Well, before this one that you're listening to now, that would be 53 episodes, because this is episode number 54.
Oh.
So I am okay with a little bit of weirdness, especially if it relates to time travel or
like the time traveler, for example. Was in your range of belief, the time traveler from 5-6 years ago.
The time traveler. I mean,
Time Traveler's Wife.
Yes, I like that movie a lot.
That was within your limit.
Yes, and also I have to come out and say that I have a pretty serious crush on Rachel McAdams, the actress in that series, in that movie.
As does most of America. So
yeah, well, she's actually pretty close to my age, so I'm allowed to. But the
what's that? There are limits. There are limits.
Yes. There's dimples. Oh my god. Anyway, but I don't like monster movies or stuff where there's ghosts and shit.
So let me ask you this.
Well, hold on. Let me finish my fucking thought.
That's a long thought.
Well,
so maybe you should make it 2 thoughts. However you want. Go ahead.
I only got the one thought.
I only got one thought. I only had one thought in my head, and I done forgot it one.
No, but I
had it. Shit,
so
escaped me.
A great example of right on my borderline of it's not even sci-fi. This is supernatural stuff.
This is
have you seen? Hold on. Write down your questions as I'm. You can't just interrupt me every time you have a question. Jesus Christ! Have you interviewed anyone before?
Okay. So hey, I'm the Chris Matthews of the fucking podcast world.
Have you?
Hey, your thoughts?
Have you seen Stranger Things?
Then you? Fuck no.
The Netflix series, but no, because you don't have Netflix. So Stranger Things is right on the borderline of what I can accept, because there's this spooky monster thing that is out there, and it drives a lot of the plot, and I'm willing to forgive some of that, which is also the plot of The Outsider. Is there's this spooky monster thing out there that is really, we're not really sure its nature as we go through the series, but but we gather information about it. So, to conclude, I want to say that that The Outsider was,
in summary,
was right there on my limit of what I can accept for supernatural bullshit.
In conclusion, I'm sorry, I talked right over the top of you, but please finish it that way, because this is like an interview. So, in conclusion, then,
attention everyone, wake if you've fallen asleep. My conclusion is that The Outsider was just barely acceptable for supernaturalism.
At your relatively, admittedly low level of enthusiasm for the genre.
For the genre, as they say in France.
As they probably say everywhere except in my office.
The genre?
You got my genre.
Is this the Caitlyn Jenner?
Genre are you in? You're like not a species. You're some kind of genre. That's a genre.
You a boy or a girl? What's your genre?
I like to talk about the genre.
Yeah, so give me
But
your...
you mentioned earlier that it's not sci-fi so much, because that was one of the questions I had naturally was, well, but that probably doesn't apply to science fiction for you. You can probably accept a whole lot more stuff in science fiction, because by its nature, science fiction at its best has got some degree of credibility to it, or it's not going to be so much science fiction that it's going to be into fantasy or horror.
Exactly.
Right?
So as
Exactamundo.
So you put a very fine point on that the border between sci-fi and fantasy has always been important for me, because fantasy, like, I couldn't care less about elves or gnomes or whatever the fuck Frodo is. I just don't care. But
under a fucking rock somewhere? Is your isolation under COVID-19 that you got to stay under the rock that you've lived in?
What?
What do you mean you don't know what Frodo is? What? You still haven't watched Moonstruck, have you?
Is that the one with all the dwarves?
What was that joke about the dwarves? What was that joke about the dwarves? I saw 6 dwarves last night. What was it?
And
last night in the middle of the night, I couldn't stand it. I had to go see the 6 dwarves. Not sleepy.
Something like that, yeah.
It's not very funny though.
Or
you tell those jokes better than I do.
Yeah, I feel like a dwarf listening to Dennis, grumpy. Oh wait, no.
Wow, that's like poetic.
That's like, and like the whole like what are they've kidnapped this woman in the. They found this roofied princess in the jungle, and they've kidnapped her. Like, what are the 7 dwarves up to, really?
Not good.
It's like, what are they doing with this woman?
Not good.
I mean,
it's not good. Why do you think he's so sleepy? And why do you think he's so grumpy?
I don't know, man.
Let's walk through them. Can you name the 7 dwarves? How many can you name? I'm going to give you 1 minute. Go. Name the 7 dwarves.
And also, I mean, they aren't adults because they're minors.
Well, that's a little pun.
Hold on. Let's see. That's
a clever little pun.
No Googling. Grumpy, Sneezy, Smiley, no, Happy, who is our mascot dwarf, Happy.
Oh,
because he has 24 happy hours.
So we got a mascot.
Happy.
And it's
dwarf.
A dwarf.
Happy. Yeah.
With a big hat and big. And he's got a big smile.
It's not a big mascot. He's a dwarf.
Well,
let's see. Hold on. So we had Grumpy, Sneezy, Sleepy, Happy.
How many you got?
I'm up to
6?
4. I'm up to 4.
No, you got more than 4.
Let's see.
You did at least 6.
Donner and Blitzen. No. I don't know. Lazy.
Okay. Lazy. How about, I know of Slovenly. That was one. Another one was Peckerhead. That was one.
You're right.
Another one was fucking Gumbo. That was one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was Bullface. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Another one was Fuckwad. I remember that one. How many did I name? 14? Because they all had kids. These are their kids' names. Yeah. Kids' names.
Well,
Sneeze. You know what Sneeze's kids' names was?
Chew.
He had 19 children. You know what the last one was named?
COVID. COVID. Wow.
That's how we got the name.
Dark. Yeah. There weren't a lot of other girl dwarves that they could be making the families with. You know? I don't.
Here's the thing. You don't know this, but some of the 7 dwarves were women who had ample facial hair. That's the way it is with those hobbits. Mm-hmm. Women and men have equal amounts of facial hair. That explains.
Hobbit. That's what Frodo was.
Yep. So we'll bring you into the new age. And so I started a new binge that I'm enjoying, and it stems from, I've mentioned in other show episodes, our wonderful love with 6 Feet Under, the Alan Ball written, often directed, screenplay written, amazing series that prior to Game of Thrones was the biggest series. That Alan Ball went on from there to create True Blood, which is a story of a world where vampires have been accepted as part of society and have earned a certain amount of equal rights. Mm-hmm. And it's like one of these crazy stories where they just create this reality where, vampires are everywhere and it's all legal now, and they sell a fabricated blood called True Blood, TRU, new word, BLOOD, and a 4-pack. Mm-hmm. It's real expensive. But that's why if the vampires drink that, then they don't have to kill anybody. But it's not a perfect world, of course.
Do they at least like tax it highly so we can get revenue for the government?
Sure. I'm sure they do. But so here's the thing: is I'd never seen it, and it was shot. Much as I mentioned some time ago that we were binging on Treme, which once again,
binging on what?
Treme, the HBO series Treme of New Orleans post Katrina.
Okay, you were binging on that.
Yes, and so that same guy, same kind of venue anyway, where that was all shot in Louisiana, obviously New Orleans, Treme, but now this new series we're binging on is shot in north central Louisiana in a made-up parish in a made-up town. And so it's interesting to go from one part of Louisiana to another part of Louisiana in the series. But here's the thing. After 2 episodes of it, I absolutely love it because it allows you to suspend belief. And one of the questions that I would have is, by the sounds of it, I don't know whether you like it.
No,
I don't know whether
vampires is one of the off. No, I don't. I would be open to watching an episode or 2 to see if they can pull it off in a way that doesn't annoy me. But yeah, I'm not big on the vampires and werewolves and fairies and witches and shit.
Well, the second episode you would conclude, I'm sure, the second episode got real cheesy with the vampire thing, which was surprising because the first episode wasn't particularly cheesy, and became stereotypical and a little bit less functioning within the plot line I thought they were trying to establish, and I wouldn't have done it that way. Was my view of it, and I think that'd be enough to drive you away. But the first episode is worth seeing. Because that's where the premise is established, and it's just interesting to see the characters. But it's done in almost 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 like a sitcom situation where the characters are a bit all over the top,
overacting.
No, because the acting is impeccable. It's it's sort of like greater than life characters in real life, right? Where there's a character who's always dramatic and, some crazy man walks into a restaurant and starts spouting poetry, whatever, in some small town that's
right.
Makes you an eccentric individual in a realistic way. But in this case, the character development has got them all a quirkier bunch than most, to say the least, and acting that supports it. But it's because the premise is so unusual, because I am bored to shit.
Yes.
I will watch it.
Yeah. Vampires and zombies are of no interest to me.
I've never done... I'm with you on zombies, and that's interesting I say that because perhaps there's, on a scale of, how much you like and how much you don't like, then while I'm further down the lane than you on that, even I would say, too, I've never been one to zombies, even though the daughter of one of our dear friends who lives down in but in the zombie Netflix show, which I think it was Netflix, in the credits,
The
Walking Dead in the credits, when they're showing the hands of the Walking Dead, it's her hands that they're filming. She has the strangest hands. They look like they each have an extra knuckle. And we were out.
She has undead hands.
Yeah. We went out to dinner with our good friends and her in Atlanta, drinking and having fun. And she was telling stories. And then she put her hands down on the table and she started doing the squiggly thing. It was a hoot. They were her hands. And she also was a zombie extra, where she said, did you see the time, when there was a zombie and there was a woman and she had a rock in her hand and she was going to bash in the head of somebody? She says, that was me. But they use my hands, which is more important because, I think there's a payment, if it's in the opening credits, you're going to get a payment every time it airs, right? That means every episode.
Yeah, I love, I'm a big fan. One of the things that grabbed me about The Outsider is, I love a premise where some phenomenon has happened and the characters are as confused as the audience as to what the fuck happened. And,
what is this? Yeah.
And there's some there's some hint that there might be a logical explanation about this, or something has happened.
Right.
So, like for the Outsider, for example, man, they only paid for Bateman for the 2 episodes, didn't they? Like they.
Well, he directed the first 3.
Okay.
And he starred in the first 2.
Yeah.
And he was a producer.
And then
in fact, an executive producer.
Okay.
So yeah.
So he funded some of it, but yeah. Then he disappeared. Like they could have brought him back in the last episode.
Well, they did.
They referenced him.
They showed his face.
Okay.
Right.
So this is like in our recent Castaway episode where the what was shown very strongly implied something that wasn't actually shown, and I don't think I saw him. I was looking out for him.
When the outsider was on the floor of the cave, and Ralph was standing over him, talking him into a movement that would show that he wasn't really dead.
Yes, that was good.
Because he was laying there dead, and Ralph just started haranguing him and insulting him, and he started twitching his hands, and he started twitching his lips, and Ralph just taunted him. And
it's like every episode of this podcast for me.
Yes, and one of the things that he did, well, some of it, one of the things that he did was as the monster began to become just infuriated with what was happening and pretty much helpless, given they had a fucking 450-pound jagged stone that fell from the roof and pinned him through the chest,
Spoiler
4
alert.
feet into the wall,
Yep.
Right. But as he became furious, he in turn taunted Ralph, and his face shifted into the shapes of every single character in that series who ended up dead at his hands. The black kid who was suicide by police, Terry, point big, Terry. That is the only recurrence, except in picture and whatnot. It was the only actual, and it really wasn't him anyway, but it was that character, because he had two characters. But yeah.
I accept your argument. Yes. That was a weird
Oh, that was way
moment.
Weird. And the thing is, and Ralph, who bashes his head in with a big stone, and what's interesting to me is that there's no resolution there. That wouldn't have me believe any more than he killed him the first time with a fucking stalagmite sticking in his heart, than bashing his head in. And because they wanted to cover it up, they left the body there, and it's whatever. But then,
and what does a body even mean, man, in that scenario?
Well, it'll just wilt into the skin of a snake, and all be left is a shell, because that's all it was in the first place.
Yeah, you're
and those hollow eyes.
There's another season.
Well, the other season. But here's the thing that intrigues me, and why I was a bit taken aback by your rather summary, just close the door on this kind of stuff, is that, as I wrote to you, that certainly the idea that Holly, who showed in the last scene in the middle of the credits, had a large scratch on her arm, signifying, of course, that she was the next target. And what the series would be like if she, with her unbelievable abilities and skills, was the target of El Coco, that's worth watching, because I couldn't take my eyes off Cynthia Erivo. Every moment she was on the screen, I was riveted. If this turns where Ralph, who was a powerful character, and Mendelsohn's acting was phenomenal.
I was impressed that there was a protagonist with a bit of a lisp. You don't see a lot of that.
Who had the lisp?
The Ralph guy. He talked a little with a lisp, I thought.
Maybe some type of eccentric speech pattern. I'm not sure there was a lisp.
No.
But, he's Australian. Have you heard him interviewed?
No.
Oh, well. Hear him interviewed and then decide what you were hearing.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is that Erivo, I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name.
Well, she's also just golden right now. The thing that you had me looking at interviews of her where she was being interviewed and she started singing stuff, and the title of the video was, if she had won an Oscar for that, she would have been the youngest EGOT winner ever, with an Emmy and a Grammy and a Tony and an Oscar. that
she what was she up for an Oscar for?
Harriet, I think.
Harriet, I've never seen it.
Well, neither have I. Well, I don't know. She was up for an Oscar. I don't think she won it, but.
Well, no. She didn't win it.
Yeah, but yeah. So I've got several things I want to talk about. What I was saying is this thing where the characters don't know what's going on either. I love that sort of thing. There's lots of examples of this. Like, have you ever seen a series called The Leftovers?
Oh yeah.
How much of that have you seen?
Every bit of it.
Okay.
I never missed an episode.
Where that was a thing where like, what the fuck just happened?
And everybody
reacted in a different way.
And everybody in the series the whole time doing only one thing, trying to answer that single question.
Right.
What the fuck happened?
Right.
What's your favorite scene in all of it? I have one. Well, what's yours? I wonder if it's the same.
Oh, I don't know. It was all. I don't have a particular favorite.
Well, so my favorite in all of it was when the at the time of the departure, that there was a trailer that was carrying balloons, mannequin-sized balloons, and it ended up, the person driving it ended up being one of the folks that disappeared, and so it crashed. And when it crashed, all of the balloon-type mannequins floated out, and there was a born-again Christian in his car watching it, and he thought then, and of course was convinced for the rest of his life, that what he saw was the great ending, right? The rapture, and it is.
Well, the whole series, like the whole premise, is very much rapture adjacent, right?
Yes. Well, it is a fact. It is a fact. Yes. And the other thing that's so odd about that series that I just love is how the camp is named after Nixon, and how the folks who are on the weird part of the now the abject community affected by this are in a camp that not only is named after Nixon, but has a 25-foot paper mache statue of Nixon in the front of it. It is like, what? Who thought of this?
No, but right, and well, you know who thought of it? No, yes, the same guy that made Leftovers made Watchmen.
And did you read the book Leftovers?
No.
Oh, read the book. And
so it's based on a book.
Well, sort of. Sort of. It's the book would have to be 10 times as long to get what the screenwriters did here.
No,
they left the book in the dust in about 3 episodes.
So it was created by Damon Lindelof, who his major first introduction to the world was Lost. Did you watch any Lost?
Reality show?
No, it was. You're adjacent in that you came up with that. It was this show where some people found themselves on a deserted island and couldn't figure out why, and it went several seasons, and everyone was just. I was not caught up in it, but everyone was very caught up in this thing of why are they there? How did this happen? What's the phenomenon behind it? And it sort of petered out at the end where like they didn't really explain anything. Which just sucked, and everyone just really was upset.
Right.
But he learned from that, and he went on to make Leftovers, which was somewhat more explained, and then later Watchmen. But
my wife would like Leftovers. Go ahead.
There's so many other things that come to mind with this discussion. One of the best horror movies that is very similar to The Outsider is. Do you remember the 1998? Denzel Washington movie called Fallen, where it was a serial killer that could transfer his soul between people by touch. And this detective, Denzel Washington, it's so good. Denzel Washington is searching for this guy, and the guy can just walk down the street and reach out and touch another person, and he like becomes that person, and which makes him really hard to track down.
And that's the bad guy?
Yes, the bad guy. And so as such, he can commit these crimes, much like in The Outsider, as other people. So he takes control of your body, he goes and kills somebody else, and then he switches over to another body, and all the evidence points to you, because it was your body and your fingerprints and everything that did the murder.
Similar to
very, very similar. And it's.
I wonder if they're related in the. I wonder if Stephen King read that.
It's a movie, but yes, I highly recommend it. I will send you a link to that. You can try and find it. And another thing that I like, there was this TV show called Flash Forward.
Yeah. No.
Where
I don't know it.
The premise is much like in Leftovers. There was this moment in time where almost everyone, like 99.99% of humans, lost consciousness for 137 seconds. And as such, there were a bunch of car crashes, and planes went down, and shit happened, and but no one could explain why, right? So the show tracks these. I don't know if they're FBI agents or something. These people that are trying to figure out what happened and why, and then I think maybe it happens again. But much like in Leftovers, the natural human reaction to these things is to search for some spiritual, religious reason, and people form these cults, and it's very because no one really understands what happened. Anyway, it was really great, and it went on for 1.5 seasons, and then it got cut, and I was so disappointed. It was one season of 22 episodes, according to Wikipedia, but it was cool. It was one of these things of I don't know what the fuck is happening.
So one of the facts that we need to explore just for a second is that during the 1 hour that we've been talking, if you in fact listen to this 1 hour, at the end of the 1 hour, when you look at your watch, it will actually be 3 hours later. And the subject of what happened in the world, the other part of the world, except for the 45 people who are listening to this, everybody else in the world lost 2 hours except for you, and you were here. That is the ultimate
happy
hour.
Yes, everyone else probably got something done during this hour, and you were just here listening to us.
You've just wasted another hour of your life. But what the fuck else you got to do? You might just
exactly.
Listen to this nonsense. I gotta go, bro.
Okay.
I gotta go see True Blood.
Well, I gotta go see True Sleep, and maybe I'll dream of going for another walk. Allegedly.
Dream a little dream of me.
I hope not. Good. Stay safe for another week, Dennis.
You too, bro.
Please don't cough on anybody.
Yeah.
Love you too.
Bye.